Hi there. This is my gateway presentation. Thanks, buddy. Um, hi. My name is Lily Guerrero. I've been at Oak Grove for 3 years now. I transferred from Nordhoff in my sophomore year. And I'm going to put this over here. During my first year of high school, I was terrible to just about everyone around me. And I definitely did not want to change. I was doing a lot of things that I shouldn't have been doing. I definitely did not want to come to a school that was going to take me away from that. I didn't think that I needed help, but my mom knew that I needed help and told me that I was going to school whether I wanted to or not. And you can see the difference, I think, in these pictures that it has made. The first picture is me in 9th grade, and then me in 10th grade, the year that I transferred here. And then that last picture is me just a few weeks ago, going to prom. I was struggling in the first picture. In my mom's words, I was nuts. And then you see me change into the person that I am now. Overall, it was the best thing that could have happened to me, and I am going to BC next year with a focus in psychology, and then I plan on transferring after 2 years. And I would have never made it this far without Oak Grove and my mom. Slide 3. Okay. Nope. Okay, got it. This art is the art of engagement. And to me, this art means how you act in and out of class to stay engaged with the subject matter. And my focus question is, in what ways have you become more or less self-motivated and or self-directed? I chose this question because I had a really hard time staying engaged until I figured out how to do that. Like I said before, I was having a really hard time staying motivated and staying engaged. I really just didn't know how to keep myself on track anywhere, like inside of class or outside of class, because of the environment that I put myself in. And when I was applying to Oak Grove, I wrote on the "Why do you want to come to Oak Grove" page, I said that I did not want to come and that my mom was making me, and then sent that in to Jody and Krista. And my mom basically had to beg to give me a second chance. And thank God she did, because I don't know where I would have ended up without it. Once I actually got enrolled, though, I thought I could just stay doing the same lifestyle that I was living before. But when I started seeing myself really fall behind compared to everyone that I knew I needed to do something. Because I had never been around people that tried before. No one that I was friends with ever tried. We didn't do homework. We didn't pay attention in class. We sat in the back and talked the entire time. So now I was in a place where everyone tried. And I needed to keep up. I don't know if it was my stubbornness or my competitiveness, but I needed to be doing as good as everyone else. That was all I knew. I just knew that I refused to be not as good as everyone else. So I started trying, and this is my evidence that I have here. It is a report card note that I got last semester about my engagement in 3 different classes. And I realized that when I realized that I needed to start doing better after the first year of high school, I made that change to be able to do so. And I feel like this represents that. So, yeah. All right, art of academia. So the art of academia to me means how one experiences learning and studying. And then my focus question is, how has your outlook on your studies evolved as you have matured? So I think that this question stuck out to me the most because I've gone through a lot of different stages of my outlook on studies, and they have definitely evolved. As I said before, I have always had a really hard time keeping myself on track because of the people that I put myself around. And my first year at Oak Grove, I was behind in Spanish. because at Nordhoff I didn't take it seriously and I ended up failing. So I had to take an online class, just like Mr. Cosmo over here. And then I ended up not passing that one either. I did not finish it. I did not even remotely try to finish it. And sorry, Russell, I apologize for that one. So the first piece of evidence that I have here is a note from Russ on my online class that says basically I've completed 25% it's from Russ from Will. And it says that I have completed 25%, so 15 out of 58 of my exercises in one semester. And basically that this is a graduation requirement and that it'll affect my future if I don't finish it. So it didn't work. That letter did nothing to me really either. And I just couldn't keep myself on track and I didn't find it important. So when that didn't work, we decided that maybe putting me in the Spanish 1 class with the freshmen would be the time that I actually passed Spanish 1 as a junior. And so basically, sorry, I just lost like every train of thought that I had for a second there. And that ended up being exactly what did help me in the end. I still had to take online classes, but because I was behind I didn't take a math class at Nordhoff that was a requirement here, so I had to take geometry, which sucked. And then this year I took criminology. And so I found a way to make my online classes work for me, because note-taking seems to be one of my biggest strengths. So that first little picture, that's a lot smaller than the other one, is my most recent notes from my criminology class. And as you can see, everything that I need, that I find important, is highlighted. All of the themes are bolded, just so that I could have a better understanding of what I was doing. And in doing all of these little extra, very tedious tasks on my notes, it also helped me pay more attention into what I was doing in the first place, because I had to thoroughly read through everything in order to highlight what was important and to bold what was important. So I figured out how I learned best, and I think that my studies have definitely matured. So, yeah. All right. So, this is the art of caring in relationships. This art to me means how you form and keep relationships in your life. And my focus question is, in what ways have the relationships that you formed at school influenced you? I chose this question because the friends that I have now from both before Oak Grove and after have greatly influenced the way that I am now. This is Cassius. As many of you know, if you don't know who this is, I believe you've been living under a rock. Me and Cassius have only been friends for a short amount of time, actually, only a few months. We started hanging out at the beginning of senior year, and in that time, though, she has helped me form myself into the person that I am now. Cassius did not like me when I first got here, and I don't blame her. I was crazy, and I thought she was just kind of a teacher's pet, so it kind of makes sense. But this year, she asked me if I wanted to hang out with her, and I was really excited and said yes, and we ended up having a great time and started hanging out more. We are polar opposites. Like, you know that saying, opposites attract? I did not fully believe that until I became friends with Cassius. Because despite being so different, we get along really well. She has pulled me out of my comfort zone so much, and in doing so, she has let me explore different things about myself. I speak up more, and I am more willing to, as she says, play devil's advocate to things and people that I would never have normally done that before. She has changed me, and I couldn't be more grateful for that. In a way, I think we changed each other into versions of ourselves that we didn't fully want to reach until we started hanging out. That first picture that you see is me and Cassius in Hawaii at a beautiful waterfall, laughing hysterically at the fact that we had just fake laughed at a picture for a picture, and Bo called us out. Just very blatantly called me and Cassius out for fake laughing for a picture. And and then I could not tell you if that was the one that we were fake laughing at or if that was the one that we were actually laughing at. There were two. So, and then this second picture here is a very fun conversation that I had with Cassius a few weeks ago. It is, once again, Cassius trying to force me out of my comfort zone in every way humanly possible. And now, before I read this, there's something that you need to know about me first. I would much rather lay in bed than go out with people. But Cassius does not like to accept that fact about me. So the text basically goes something along the lines of, we should go out, like, seriously, and then I say, babe, and she says, I'll come and get you, and I say that I want to go to bed. And she says, girl, and I said that I'm boring. And she says, we graduate in 7 weeks, you're not, I love spending time with you. And I said, I know, I'm dead. Thank you, babe, I love spending time with you too, but I'm currently laying in bed listening to the Greatest Showman soundtrack trying to get some serotonin. And let's just say I did not end up going out that night. But she pushes me in the best way possible to help me come out of my shell almost every time, and I find it amazing that she can do that. Art of aesthetics. So, this art to me means all of the beauties that are around us and also how you hold ourselves, how you hold yourself. And my focus question is, in what way has high school helped you discover and appreciate beauty? I chose this question because I had a very, very specific memory in mind for this one. And it was because this past year I was able to experience beauty in a way that I hadn't before in Hawaii with my class. We saw so many beautiful things and places. I had kind of a hard time with this trip. I wasn't really excited to go at first because I knew I would have a really hard time without the possibility of talking to certain people every day and being around everyone all the time. I love all of you, but I can't do that for that long. So even with that, I knew I needed to find a way to make it work and do it because it was happening whether I wanted to or not. Even though all the odds were against me, my mom got COVID right before we left. My house that I ended up staying at the week before we left had recently just had everyone had COVID, and they tested negative the day that I needed to come to their house to stay with them because my mom got COVID. So there was a lot of things going against me here, but it was going to happen either way. So once we got through the COVID test, I was like, wow, now I gotta go. So one of my friends told me that if this COVID, he took me to go get my COVID test because my boyfriend, who I was staying at his house, was at school. So his friend took me to get my COVID test for the Hawaii trip. And he told me, when I was telling him that I was stressed about going, he told me that if this COVID test comes back negative, then there's literally nothing standing in your way and you cannot not go. So I made it work. And the first picture, I think, right? Maybe? Yes. Okay. So the first picture and the second picture. So basically, those first two pictures were taken on the day that I got vertigo. I felt absolutely terrible. No one believed that I felt like I had an air conditioner blowing in my right ear except for Julia. So I felt terrible, but I still found a way to enjoy the beauty that was around me. We went to a really pretty beach that day. There was a lot of turtles, as you can kind of see in that first picture with Sydney. There is a turtle that kind of looks like a rock at the bottom. And I still ended up having an amazing time. I was able to make a bad day into a good day by pushing through and focusing on the beauty that was around me. That night was a completely different story. But all you need to know is Sydney spent most of the night sleeping in a chair in Julia and I's room, and Julia was awake the entire time. But the next day, we had a really relaxing day, and I got to show everyone my chips and mustard combo. They loved it, even though they judged it so much. Robbie, I'm looking at you. I know you liked it. And then we just got to hang out in a beautiful place that we were staying at, which was the Ahulani place. And it just got better from there, and I ended up having an amazing time for the rest of the trip. I did not feel sick for the rest of the trip, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Senior project. So for my project, I created a slideshow and pamphlets to present in assemblies to both the high school and the middle school about the dangers of online predators. So basically, I have a few pieces of evidence here. So I chose this project because this topic really interested me and I wanted to help educate people on this issue. I originally planned on doing a fundraiser, but then moved on to just focusing on the education part rather than the money part. And this project has helped me develop a sense of more knowledge in what I can do with a career path, because I do want to go into criminal psychology when I graduate. And then it has changed my worldview by helping me understand how big of an issue this is, as well as how little people know about it. And I feel like it has contributed to the community by helping educate the people in both the high school and the middle school about this issue. This project challenged me by making me talk about things to other people, like in a big setting, just like this. And also with the middle school, like with the high school it was easier because I knew everyone that I was talking to, but with the middle school I didn't know any of them, so that was a little bit scary for me. And this project has influenced my future by helping me get a better understanding of what I want to do with my life, whether or not this is something that I might want to look into more with my career path. So this first picture is a screenshot of my presentation that I made for everyone. It definitely came a long way from just an idea, and then I got to see it unfold into an actual physical thing. I was so proud that I made it come together. I did not think I was going to be able to. And the next picture shows some of the difficulties that I had. It is a screenshot of an email thread that I had with Erin about my pamphlets that you can see in that final picture and also here. And all of the high school saw them anyway, so they're here. And we could not figure out if they were going to fold right or not, because of the layout that I had them in, and I thought they would, so I was like, we'll just try it and see how it goes, and it worked. But it was a moment of fearing that I might have to redo an entire pamphlet because the website that I was using did not save any progress that I made, and it basically just deleted everything, so I had to redo it multiple times because there was also some aesthetic errors in there that I needed to fix. But fixing it was hard, but once I got the final results, I was really, really happy with how it all turned out, and I made some cute little pamphlets for everyone to have when I gave my speech. And they just say the dangers of online predators, which you can kind of see in there too, and then what will be on the slideshow, and then it has every slide that I had, and then it has some hotlines and resources for people in case they need them. So I did that, and I was really proud of how my project ended up being. So yeah. All right. This is looking back at life at Oak Grove. And when I was doing this slide, the first thing that came to my mind was my journals. I have been journaling ever since I got to Oak Grove. At first, it was forced by Ashton, but then it became a hobby. And the first very beaten up journal is the one from my sophomore year, my first week ever at Oak Grove at LCAP. I wish I could tell you what it says, but I can't even read my own handwriting here. And it just started the process of I had just started the process of completely changing my handwriting from normal writing to cursive. And it was a bit of a mess, but I'm sure it's along the lines It was at LCAP, so I'm sure it's along the lines of, "Dear God, what have I gotten myself into?" I hate camping. I'm looking at you, Mother. I always have, and I always have, and now I was going to a school where the first thing that I get myself into is a whole school camping trip. It's crazy. I did end up having a good time on that camping trip, despite disliking camping a lot. And that's when I formed some of my strongest bonds that I have with people. And then you can see my most recent journal. It's about graduation. I can read this one. It's about graduation and reflecting back on my senior year, as well as just high school overall. In that one, I talk about the scariness and excitement that I'm feeling right now, and how proud I am of how far I've come as a person. In that one, my handwriting has definitely improved and very much looks better. Seeing those two next to each other just shows, I think, how far I've come and how well my future looks. I look at my handwriting as a symbolism for what is to come, and everything just gets better. It just takes time, and things are just getting started. Looking forward. Here you go, Mom. So I'm really excited to have a new kind of freedom that I've never experienced before, and to be able to control just about everything that I'm doing. I got to pick my classes. I got to pick what time my classes start, so I don't have to wake up at 8 a.m. ever again. And I'm just really excited to start that process even more and have that sort of freedom again. Like, not again, but more so. And the only thing that I'm really nervous about is being fully responsible for my schooling. I do have a system that I feel as though I'm pretty self-managing? Yeah. Self-managing at my school. I do it all on my own. I don't need anyone to remind me. I'm pretty good at getting stuff done when I need to get stuff done. And I've had a few conversations with my mom that you can see here that I feel like already show the new freedom that I am experiencing. So the first one is when I was at a party, and my mom was kind of iffy on letting me go in the first place since it was kind of far away, and I was going to be home late, but me and my mom have a system where basically I tell her my every move and what's going on so she knows and doesn't get worried. And I get the freedom of being able to do what I want as long as she knows where I am and what I'm doing. So in the first text, I tell her that the person's parents are there, and then she makes a joke about how that only kind of makes her feel better about it. And then we have a check-in point at 11, so the next part is the next part of that picture is me asking if I can be home by 12:30, so I can stay a little bit longer. And she says, or if I can leave at 12:30, and she says to leave at 12 and be home by 12:30. And I ask if I can leave at 12:30 because, I just want to try. And she says no, and to be home by 12:30. I agree, and I was home by 12:30 just like I was asked, and that's the system we have worked out. I just always need to be home when she asks me to, and to keep in touch when she knows so that she knows I'm okay. The next text that is up there is from a separate time, and I'm saying that I'm going to be a college student. I had just enrolled in my classes at BC, and I was really excited. I had gotten every class that I was hoping to get. And then later, because she did not respond to me, later I tell her that I'm in Ventura, and she responds asking what I'm doing for the night, and I tell her that I'm going to be in Ventura for a while, and she asked me to be home by 11:30. Once again, I ask for more time. And this time, she agrees, because she knows where I am and that I'm safe there, and to be able to come home and I am able to come home at 12. When I go to college, I think that the curfew might change a little bit. At least I'm hoping it will. And I will continue to stay in touch with my mom since I will still be living at home. But the idea of having even more freedom than I do now sounds amazing to me, and I'm so excited for that opportunity. Thank you. Questions? Yes, sir?
What classes at BC?
An English class, statistics, psychology, ASL, and then like a college success course just to get some GED credits. Yes?
If you had to go on the Hawaii trip again, what would you change?
Not getting vertigo. Like, that's quite literally it. Everything else was great. I just felt so terrible that entire day and night, and no one really believed me. So, until I got, like, really sick later. So, yeah. Any more? Yes, Will.
You spoke really eloquently about, like, you know, your struggles during freshman year at Nordoff, the change to here. And just curious if you have any advice for any students who are feeling like a little lost right now, or a little bit like motivationally challenged, or just kind of haven't found a way yet in high school.
You will. Like, it just kind of happens. I would say that, like, if you feel like your friends aren't helping you get to a point where you want to be, because I always wanted to do big things with my life and with my career path, but I just had friends who didn't, and it did not help me with anything. And when I transferred, I made new friends. And even though you go to a very, very small school, you can still change friends if that's what's best for yourself. And I have a really, really cool best friend over there who really helped a lot with my transition from Nordoff to Oak Grove. So, yeah. Anything else? Okay, thank you.
So for those of you who weren't here yesterday, or on Friday, a few things. So we have 4 presentations today. We have Cosmo, Lola, Lilly, and Nicola. And what we'll do is we'll do 2 presentations, and then we'll take a short break so that people can stretch their legs and run to the bathroom, and then have the other two presentations. So if you do need to use the restroom or anything, just make sure that you wait until the break so that you're not interrupting someone's presentation. Again, there'll be a little short question and answer session after each presentation. I encourage you guys to ask lots of questions, to engage with these guys on their gateways, and really be an appreciative and encouraging audience. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Cosmo to the stage. I'm looking at these fabulous baby pictures, and there he is.
Hello, people. These are pictures of me from when I was a little baby up till now. Got a lot of experiences there, but yeah. So, me. This is me, 2006, when I was with Robert in preschool. Sorry, one second, I have to get the slide. Will, I don't think you printed the slide. I'll just free solo. Anyways. Oh, never mind. Hello, my name is Cosmo, and I am 18 years old. I've been going to Oak Grove for a total of 6 years, but I've been attending high school only since sophomore year. I went to Oak Grove way back in 2006 when I was in the early childhood program, going through preschool and until kindergarten. After that, I went to public school until I finally came back here in 2019. So yeah, this is me and Robert, and then that's me in Hawaii doing some gardening work with an axe. Pretty cool, super fun. But yeah. So my first art is the art of academia. And to me, the art of academia is challenging yourself to certain classes or anything that may come across as something new or challenging. And my focus question is, how has my view of the importance of learning changed over the years? I chose this question because my view of learning has changed a lot since 9th grade. When I was in 9th grade, I didn't really try that much in learning and kind of learning how to learn, which I never really realized was so important. but it really is, because how are you going to learn if you don't know how to? And so when I got into chemistry, as you can see here, my artifacts are 2 chemistry tests. And the first one was one that I totally sucked at. And then the second one, which is the second semester, I did better at. And and the reason why is because the first semester I wasn't paying attention, sorry Brittany, that much. But I asked you a lot of questions, Brittany. I asked a lot of questions to her the second semester, and I really wanted to try and understand what was going on, because I kind of got a love for it all of a sudden after understanding like one, what are they called? Study papers? Whatever, the study guides, yes. After understanding one of those, I was like, okay, I get this now. But I chose this because it really shows that like I learned how to learn and how to ask questions and how to engage with the teacher without being afraid of looking like an idiot. But yeah. My next one is the art of carrying a relationship. To me, this means going out of the way to solidify relationships and build them through engaging in activities. My focus question is, how have my relationships changed and grown over my high school years? I chose this focus question because since 9th grade, my relationships with people have changed a lot. So my artifacts are these pictures that are starting from me in volleyball, 9th grade. This is club volleyball. I started volleyball at Nordhoff, but after that I went into club volleyball because I was super into it. And I met a lot of friends there. This is a picture of me and my my volleyball buddies. But we won the tournament, first place, pretty awesome. And I met a lot of people who skated in this community, surprisingly. So that transitioned into me going to the skate park a lot. And that was pretty much when I met everyone that I love to this day. I met Ben and Mikkel, who got me to come here and meet all you people. So I owe that to them. But there's a picture of us in the car, the foreign whip, Mikkel in the back. And actually, we weren't supposed to go in that car. The guy got really mad because he was building that car. But anyways, so through skating, I met a lot of people. I met Ben and Mikkel, who brought me to Oak Grove, which is the last picture of us, I think sophomore year, but like the beginning of sophomore year, like right when I got there. And we were already so like, we clicked. It was awesome. And I felt super welcomed. But yeah, that's how my relationships changed over the years. My next slide is the art of communication. This picture's a little goofy, but it's the only one that I could find of my controversial speech, and I'll get to that in a second. To me, the art of communication means being able to approach people for questions or for any sort of conversation without being afraid. And my focus question is, how did my comfort in communicating and socializing with others change since 9th grade? I chose this question because in 9th grade, I would limit myself when I would socialize with other people, but this changed as the years went by. I think that COVID definitely made things worse, but when I first came to Oak Grove, I all of a sudden began to feel more comfortable interacting with people. Yeah, so I chose this artifact, my controversial speech, because in 9th grade, I would have never, ever done this, ever, even if I had to. It was something that, like, 9th grade me was terrified of confronting a large group of people, like kind of like right now. But as I learned through Oak Grove taught me a lot about being comfortable talking to people, not only in just a classroom space and friendships and stuff, but also in like a public speaking standpoint. Ashton helped a lot with that, to be honest. Yeah, so that's why I chose that. And my just to clarify why it says meat, that my speech was about industrialization of meat and how it's bad. So yeah, you can tune into that on the Oak Grove website. So my next artifact is the art of inquiry. And to me, the art inquiry is like how my inspirations have changed over the years. And for me, the main thing that kind of changed for me was music, because I got into music about late sophomore year, and it really took off once COVID hit because I had nothing else to do, and that was like my main source of happiness during that time. But my focus question is, what changed my influences over the years? I chose this question because over the years, my influences changed in whatever I was into at the time. During my sports period, I was inspired by my soccer teams. In my skateboarding phase, I was inspired by different pro skaters, but the most important is who inspired me musically. And my artifact is my timeline of Spotify songs. I did change this, but this is the old slide, so we're gonna have to work with this one. But yeah, so late sophomore year, I was kind of, I don't even know, it was like a mix of random stuff. And I didn't really want to put like pictures of just like the same artist, because I like, when I get into an artist, I like every single one of their songs. So I thought it'd be super boring if I showed that. But yeah, so sophomore year, I was into like a variety of different stuff. Late junior year, I kind of got into, I was honing in on like Mac DeMarco kind of style indie rock stuff. And then early senior year, I got really into psych rock, which is my favorite genre now. I love psych rock and Tame Impala and Pond and all kinds of stuff like that. And then late senior year, for me, it was Kendrick, of course, and Gorillaz. Those, you know, they inspire me so much. And that kind of, Kendrick, like, bounced off of my poetry class a lot, so I got a lot of inspiration from listening to him and writing poetry similar to his style, where it's more of like, you know, it's not hidden behind some random long words, basically. But yeah, that is my art of inquiry. So, my senior project. For my senior project, I did a concert for the Oak Grove community. I originally wanted it to be an all-school concert with the middle school and some of the elementary school, and I had this big idea of there being lights and a projector, and it was like crazy and people moshing, and like it was awesome. But that couldn't happen for obvious reasons. And I wanted it to be here, but for some reason we couldn't. I'm not gonna say why, but anyways, so we got the Greater Goods as a great space to work. Vaughn, which is Miller's uncle, right? Yeah. He helped out a lot. So here's some pictures. There's a text chain with me talking to him, me sending paragraphs to him, explaining everything, and then I got my sign-up sheet, and then I got the actual concert. It was super fun. I learned a lot from it. I thought it would be so much more complicated to organize events, but it actually turned out to be super easy and accessible, and no matter what age you are, you can go to these nonprofits and you can talk to them and they will help you so much. So Vaughn really helped, and it opened my worldview, because originally I never really wanted to go out of my comfort zone and try this stuff. But once I got into it and I realized how easy it was, I'm now thinking about doing this stuff more in the future, planning events, and I want to play more concerts now, like, or shows and stuff, because it's just like super fun, super easy, and a great time. But I did collaborate with Julia, and we did an art market / concert thing that she talked about in her Gateway speech, but it was, or Gateway presentation. But it was super fun, and I mean, I know some of you guys were there, so yeah. Okay, looking back at life at Oak Grove. So this is a picture of me, Max, Ravi, and Mikkel. So this picture to me is important to me because at this time I was doing an online Spanish class that I really was not doing good at, and I was procrastinating. Yeah, I was procrastinating, and I never finished it actually. And sorry, Russ, wherever you are. But yeah, it was really hard for me to really get into doing it. But this picture is basically Ravi, Max, and Mikkel helping me with this video I had to do where basically Ravi just had to ask me questions, and then I had to say más or menos. I didn't really know what he was saying, but I was saying más or menos the entire time. So yeah, it was super awkward, me being a sophomore looking goofy. But it just like, it really, I looked at this picture and I got a really big nostalgia from it because of this period of like being procrastinating. And since then, I've grown a lot in my procrastinating. I started doing my geometry class. What? I grew a lot in my procrastination habits, in the good way. Yes. I have not gained procrastination. I have lost procrastination. Maybe teachers would say I haven't, but in terms of BYU, I definitely have. So I started geometry with Lilly, and I think Victoria, But okay, but anyways, I got a tutor, and she was so helpful, and I did it 3 times a week because of Lilly. She helped me with that, and I just became, yeah. But I learned how to do time management really well in that process because before then, like I said, I didn't have any control of when I should do my BYU course. Bo's laughing at me. But once I got my tutor, it helped a lot. And yeah, basically, since then, since this picture was taken, I've grown a lot in my BYU procrastinating in a good way. Looking forward to life after Oak Grove. So, with all the talk about music before, this summer I'm going to spend a lot of time in LA. That's my goal. And I'm going to be in my studio a lot, which is the picture on the left. But I really want to go to LA and I want to make connections with people. And I want to try and get work in like studios and do production work for people and kind of learn the ropes of how to maneuver in the industry. Music is like a really important thing in my life, so I want to start the process of like getting to the higher ranks as fast as possible, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm gonna spend a lot of time in the studio this summer, planning on setting days aside, like I did with my BYU course, and really just focus on my project and hopefully get an album done by whenever I want. But hopefully in a year. That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, that's it. Any questions of my life? Zeph, what's up? I have a lot. But my idea was Julia drew a picture of this character named Cosmo with a Z, and it has, crazy hair and stuff. Kind of looks like a Gorillaz character. I was thinking about making a album about that character and writing a story about that character. That's my like craziest idea. But I would name it Cosmo with a Z. So yeah, Liam. Well, good question actually. I am planning on, the plan is this summer I'm going to spend time in LA, but after that, I'm planning on going to SBCC, doing stuff with astronomy, and I kind of want to do some culinary stuff too. But that's like, for me, that's secondary because I really love music, and that's like what my job wants to be, what I want my job to be. But not what my job wants to be. But yeah, I kind of want to do it as a learning thing, not as a job thing. It's not as important in my life as music. So yeah. Allie.
How are you going to find connections in LA?
My cool dad over there. Yeah, my dad, my brother, they know people. But I also I want to learn how to make connections with people too. So I'll learn from them and then go my own way and make connections with whatever people I find. Any more questions? Going once? Twice? That's it. Thank you.
We have a Lola.
Hello, this is my gateway. So my name is Lola Wyatt. I have been at Oak Grove since 8th grade, and I chose Oak Grove because my parents did, but when I visited here, I actually loved it, so I was very happy to be here. And next year I'll be doing a gap semester traveling through Europe, and then going straight to Paris to live, work, and maybe go to college. So this is me when I was in preschool, and that's me in 8th grade, and then that's me now. The art of academia. The art of academia means to me is having a love of learning and having a curiosity to what we learn. And my question is, how has my outlook on my studies evolved over the years at Oak Grove? And I chose this question because my outlook, I feel like, has changed and evolved over the years a lot. And so throughout high school, I never really enjoyed certain subjects such as math and science. I didn't really understand the point of them. If you weren't interested in them, I just thought they were kind of useless. So thankfully, senior year, you got to choose if you took them or not, and I decided not to. And and this really got me to question what we were learning, and I started to think of what we weren't being taught. And junior year, I started to realize that one of the things is financial education. And so for my controversial speech, I did how schools should teach financial education, because basics and how to multiply money, and just instead of math and science. And my next artifact is my online class, and I did accounting, and I chose accounting not to be an accountant. I chose it because I read or saw somewhere that in order to run your own business, you need to know accounting. While it can be useful, I did my research, more research into it, and I don't really need to know it. I could just hire someone if I run my own business. So I didn't finish it, and I also realized that I need a physical teacher there, because that's how I learn. So, and then my next artifact is Rain's photo of me and Rain's. I worked at Rain's department store for 3 years now. In my first year there, I had no idea what to do with money. I just spent it all on useless things, and I had to learn for myself how to save, how to budget, and how to multiply it. And to tie these all together, I feel like just schools should teach us about things that could be more useful to us in the future, such as financial education. For my art of communication, the art of communication means to me is how we communicate with others, ourselves, and the world. And I chose this question because communication has always been a big struggle for me. Ever since I was little, communicating in class with my peers or even my teachers. And so my artifact is screenshots from my report card. And so on the top is freshman and sophomore year, and saying how quiet I was in class, and they want to hear my voice more often and participate more. And our old English teacher, Ashton, would always start his by saying I was a quiet presence in the classroom, which was very true. But in junior year, I feel like I really participated more and found, I found stuff that I was passionate about and wanted to express it more, and I found my voice. And so here on the bottom are things teachers said about me, of how I've participated more, spoke up more, asked teachers for help, and this also led to many arguments with my classmates, which I actually really enjoyed because it really tested my knowledge on things, and I just realized how passionate I was about the subject. And so every day I try to improve and participate more. The art of aesthetics. The art of aesthetics means to me is how you express yourself and how you connect to nature and beauty. And so I chose this question, or my question is, how have you learned to express yourself creatively? I chose this question because how I express myself is very important to me. And someone who was very close to me, she was a big inspiration. And so my first artifact is my collection of jewelry. I could not fit it all in one photo. If I really spread it out, it'd take the whole floor. And I couldn't share my clothing because that would also take up a lot of space. But clothes and styling, clothes has been a part of me since I was a toddler. My mom tells me when I was 3, I told her, I just don't dress me anymore, I can do it myself. And I also gave inspiration to my grandmother, where I told her how to style something and she wore it to Paris and she got lots of compliments on it. And so this is a photo of me and my grandmother. She is a very big influence on my life. She was and still is. She worked in fashion and would always wear the most stylish clothing and had the most amazing accessories. And I always looked up to her. She was like, I wanted to be her. But sadly, when I was 12, she passed away, and it was really hard on me and my family. But I ended up getting practically all of her jewelry and some of her clothes. And so from then on, I really started to not just love clothing, but love jewelry, scarves, and purses. And I realized how much I really love fashion. And this is what I want to do in my future, and it just made me deepen my love for fashion. And this drawing here of the necklace is probably the most valuable piece of jewelry I have. It's three crosses, and it's Lutheran crosses from Finland, and it has her name on it. And so, like, every time I wear it, it's like I have a piece of her with me. And this drawing up here I did in sophomore year. This is when I thought I wanted to be a fashion designer, which I don't know if I do, but I know it will be something in fashion, designing, and styling. Yeah. Art of caring and relationship. The art of caring and relationship means to me is a relationship with others and yourself. My question is, in what ways have the relationships that you formed at school influenced you? And I chose this question because I wanted to share a very important person to me, and she has influenced me in my life. This person is Allison Lyons. We met in the 8th grade and have become best friends ever since. Here is a photo of us, 8th grade through senior year. And we first connected on our love of laughter, and we just love to laugh. And the first thing that we really or that I was we bonded over something was this photo in the corner you see. And it's a guy sticking his head through rhubarb, and we thought it was the funniest thing in the world. We laughed at it for so long, and that was the first time where I was like, oh, I found someone who connects with me on something that I never knew that we could connect on. And she just brought light and happiness to my life. And I realize when I'm with her, I love myself. And I love a part of myself. And I've always loved to laugh, but with her, it was just, I feel like she brought out the best in me. And so you'd think meeting her would make me more open and be more myself with others, which was actually the opposite, because I only wanted to be friends with her, and I didn't really find a connection as well as I did with her, and no one was really as interesting as her, I found. And also, she moved to Canada this year, and it was really hard on me. But I just realized to always just be in the moment and treasure every moment. And so this summer we planned a trip to Portugal, and I'm very excited. We planned it since the beginning of this year, and I'm just very excited for our future together. My senior project. So for my senior project, I did fashion internships. And so I decided to do this project because I wanted to do something related in fashion. And I wanted to see what it's like to run in a fashion company. And I also wanted to go somewhere besides Ojai. So I ended up going to New York City. And so for my first part, I interviewed someone who worked for Town & Country. And she showed me, she took me to the Hertz building, which is basically the headquarters of all the biggest fashion or magazine fashion brands in the world, like Harper's Bazaar, Elle, and Town & Country. And I spoke with a fashion editor there, and she just took me through the process of how to make a magazine. And so this board is like where you start with your ideas, and then this is me in their showroom where they pick out outfits for what goes in the shoots. And the magazine with the red dress, the person who showed me, they're actually styled the cover and the whole issue. And so this jacket you see, I didn't take many photos, but she also took me to a showroom where basically is a bunch of clothes that hasn't come out yet, and they pick those to put in magazine shoots. And my senior project, for my next part, I was supposed to do a 2-day internship with Another Tomorrow. It's a brand in New York. And sadly, COVID, everyone is still in their offices there, so I had to do a Zoom meeting, which was fine because it actually went really well. But this is their store they have in New York City, and this is just a paragraph on their About Us page on their website. And so I was very disappointed that I couldn't do in person because I always prefer in person. But this is how my project changed over time. I couldn't do it in person. And this project didn't really help me get a sense of purpose and meaning in my life, but it definitely gave me more insight into the fashion industry. And I just know that now I want to work in the design part. And it didn't really change my worldview, it just gave me more insight, and also into the magazine industry, which I never really knew anything about. My project didn't really contribute to the community, but I did share my experience with the 10th graders, and I hope they enjoyed it. The project challenged me by being in a new environment and meeting new people, and I just had to deal with problem solving when I couldn't do it in person. And this project will influence my future by just me being more confident in going into the fashion industry. And if one day I want to run my own fashion business or just a business in general. Looking back at life at Oak Grove, I chose the artifact of our lawn with the tree at the high school. And I feel like this photo really captures my time as being freeing to me. I had the freedom to be in nature, the freedom to connect with others, and the freedom to be myself. And this was where we were during Corona. And it made me feel how grateful I was to be somewhere where we could be outside. And it's just freeing to me. Looking forward to life after Oak Grove. These are some plane tickets that I will be going to this summer, and it also represents the plane tickets I will be taking this fall on my gap semester traveling through Europe. I will be going to 6 countries with a program with a group of students, and I'm very excited for it. I have a passion for travel, and this photo here is the first time that I went to Paris, and I'm standing under the Eiffel Tower, and I was kind of nervous because it was the first time I've been to Europe, But I knew right when I got there this was going to be my home. So after my gap semester, I will be moving to Paris to live and work and maybe go to college. But I'm very excited. Thank you. Any questions? What? Oh.
There's some questions over there.
Lola, what do you plan on studying in Paris?
Fashion. Fashion design. There is a school that is focused on fashion business and fashion design, and all this year I've been trying to decide which one I want to go into, but I feel like I'm leaning towards fashion design. Then yeah.
I know that you're talking about living in Paris. Do you think you'd ever live in New York?
Possibly. I don't know, my mom might go there, so I will probably be there a lot anyway. Yes.
Who's your favorite designer?
I've always loved Coco Chanel. Ever since I was little, she was an inspiration to me. So Chanel, yes.
Great inspiration.
Yes. Coco.
How did you meet Alice?
I met her in the 8th grade here at Oak Grove. Yeah, she left after freshman year to Nordhoff, but then this year she moved to Canada. Well,
There's Krishnamurti talks a little bit about like his concern around education that like if students are only pushed to sort of learn about things like making money or how to be successful in a career, that they're losing basically like what it means to learn. But do you think that there is room in an education for like learning for learning's sake and an inquiry in a way that's not just focused on like how can I make money out of this or how can I like become more successful as a human being? Like, what do you think?
yeah, no, I agree, and I feel like Oak Grove gives a nice space for that because we can separate them. I don't know, like it just doesn't have to be like I don't know, like I feel like Oak Grove gives the space for that if we had like a class. Like I feel like we'd still love learning and it just wouldn't be totally focused on that. And if there were to be classes like that outside of here, I feel like that should definitely be implemented and make sure like this is not like all success, it's just some more having the love, just love of learning. So yes. Is that all? Okay, thank you. Hi guys. Okay, welcome. So yeah, my name's Nicola. I was lucky enough to come to Oak Grove to finish my final 2 years of high school, and I'm excited to attend the University of San Francisco this coming fall. And I've got a lot to share with you about what I've done since I came here, so here we go. So, to me, the art of engagement means looking inward on your life and making decisions that will keep you thriving. My focus question is, what have I discovered about myself in the span of high school? So, I'll just start off by telling you how I ended up here. A long time ago, I used to stress, not a long time ago, 2 years ago, I used to stress a lot about my friendships and like my appearance and what others thought of me. And I basically would just make a huge effort every day picking out outfits that like hid the insecurities I was stressed about. And I knew my friends there would only accept me if I dressed a certain way. So I kind of ended up making a personality of like out of what was popular with others, and it ended up being really damaging to me.
And yeah, so that was my first 2 years of high school, and when COVID hit and I was sent home, I kind of faced like a personality crisis because I just didn't know who I was aside from how I tried to make myself appear. And yeah, it was affecting my academic success because I was kind of just getting sad and just like sliding down into a hole. And so after like a couple months of this, I ended up here at Oak Grove. And like I said earlier, oh wait, no, I didn't say that yet, actually. So I like had this really randomly huge Instagram right as I got here, which I'll go into in a little bit. Where is it? When I transferred here, I thought like my reputation was like a huge part of me, and my old school made me feel like I had to keep this Instagram that I had to be like worthy. But as I like adjusted to the atmosphere here and realized that like my raging ego could relax, I made comfort my main focus and started wearing just what made me happy, and everyone continued to embrace me regardless of how I acted or appeared. Yeah, and immediately I made some of the most solid friendships I've ever had, and I finally felt at peace with myself. So the ease on social pressure also gave me space to refocus on my academics and fall back in love with learning. Yeah, and I just flourish every day here, loving my classes and teachers and feeling free to be me and still be loved by all my friends. But yeah, so the first picture is me when I was in cheer, freshman year, very different time in my life for me. And I've also just grown a lot physically since then. Oh yeah, small face. I guess I've grown a lot physically and mentally. But second picture I think is my sophomore year when I was super interested in Y2K, that kind of thing. Yeah, and then those last two pictures are just me now, and I'm just a lot happier, less focused on how I look, and yeah, it's just more peaceful. Okay, so to me, the art of academia means putting in as much work as is necessary to achieve a full understanding. And my focus question is, how have my challenges in math class given me the skills needed to achieve academic success? Yeah. So math, it's cool because there's one answer and like not a ton of answers like English, and but to get to that one answer requires like so much focus and so much understanding, and I'm super easily distractible. I love to draw and talk and do literally anything other than the task at hand. So in math class, I would find myself covering notebook pages with doodles and then looking up 30 minutes later just to realize I'd missed the lesson. And then when I got home, I couldn't understand my homework, and the lack of homework led to poor test scores. So yeah, after a semester of like just total academic laziness, I decided I needed to make a change. So I talked to Marie, and we made a system to keep me on track. So anytime she saw me doodling, she reminded me to pay attention, and she had me sit at the front of the classroom, and we'd often make eye contact, which helped me stay focused. And once I started to get an understanding, everything just got like much easier, and if I could make it through notes, I could use what I've learned to do best on my homework, and after several nights of homework, I'd have a good enough stance to do well on the test, and I started doing much better. So I'm impressed with how effective my boundary against distraction turned out to be, and now I seriously love math, not just saying. I love it so much, and I love the technicality of it, the application that I've learned this year in calculus to like real life problems, and yeah, to reward my efforts, I was given the Society of Women Engineers Award for achievements in mathematics. Yeah, and I look at this award and I feel proud of how far I've come and feel grateful for Marie for helping me to make a system that would let me be distractible and good at math. So, oh yeah, but the first artifact is just like a compilation of some of my note pages, how they used to look, and then the second one is like after Marie told me to stop doodling. Yeah, so the art of aesthetics means to me learning how to express yourself in ways that words can't. And my focus question is, how has the ability to create made an impact on my life? Yeah, so creativity is a huge part of me. It's always been the way I've been able to express myself and to decompress. And I grew up dancing. I did ballet for 9 years, like very strictly. So when I finally stopped my daily lessons, the effect that was still left on me from like the strictness made me, I think, really sensitive to feedback and performance just in my daily life, like aside from on the stage. Yeah, because I learned how to perform in ways that I knew would get applause or praise, and that applied to like teachers and more than just audiences and my parents and friends and that kind of thing. So when high school rolled around, I was struck with like really serious perfectionism, and trying to fit in. I kind of muted my creative instincts and resented anything I tried to make. And it got to the point where I couldn't even write English papers without wanting to rip my head off and stressing about how something like that I felt was ugly, how that would threaten my appearance and the way people thought about me. So I stopped sewing, drawing, singing, and dancing, and I tried to confront this like criticism and found myself struggling to find the creative juices that just were not flowing. And it felt like a huge piece of me was missing, and now I can see that it was just insecurity. It had really nothing to do with the art I was creating. So to like get away from this, I just kind of went into autopilot mode, and I started forcing myself to stop abandoning art pieces and to start seeing the good in my writing and my creations instead of focusing on the bad. And I started receiving this anxiety with empathy instead of letting it take over and control me. And I got some progress. So with encouragement, I also joined a poetry class, so a couple poems turned into more than a couple, and then that turned into hundreds of poems now in my notes app. So yeah, I keep a notebook handy for my poetry now. It's like a big part of my life, and instead of quitting, I stuck with my painting. Actually, Brian just gave it back to me, but I stuck with it until I captured what I wanted, and it got featured in the Oak Grove newspaper. And yeah, I feel a sense of peace about reconnecting with my creative side, and I get the sense of relief I was missing. And my life is, once again, so covered in art that like simple or small creative mistakes don't bother me as much. Yeah. And I had to grow out of the conditioning that made me feel that I was like living to perform that I had gotten from so many years of being in dance. So now I can, all it took was some confidence and believing in myself, and now I love to challenge my skills and create as much as I can, whether I'm thrown roses or tomatoes. Okay. Art of caring and relationship. So, the question is, how have my efforts to inform highlighted a sense of dedication to the well-being of my community? To me, the art of caring and relationships means having an open mind to all perspectives and ways of being, and having love for those that give me their time. So yeah, here I go. When I was 15, I gained 50,000, almost 60,000 followers on my personal Instagram account that I've had since I was 12. I don't know why people decided to follow me, but I had like this huge sense of pressure to like always perform. And when I came to Oak Grove and I met people that accepted me despite the online attention I got, I decided to just delete my account and all the followers and sponsors of free stuff that came with it. So yeah, in junior year we wrote controversial speeches, and I wrote about my personal experience. A lot of people would say that this isn't controversial, but personally I think it is, just because I think like it's really romanticized, like the influencer life that is, now attainable on Instagram. I just kind of highlighted the dark sides of it that people don't usually see. And yeah, it inspired some of my friends, like Zeph came up to me after and said, I'm gonna delete my Instagram. And a bunch of other people told me that they were inspired. So, and I also inspired a new spirit day, no tech day. And I also inspired the phone policies to get a little more strict, so sorry. And I helped others just recognize the ways they were abusing social media. And yeah, nearly a year later, my poetry teacher, Erin, asked me if I would consider performing my speech for the middle schoolers and answering their questions. I was really surprised that he asked me to do this, and I kind of forgot what I talked about, so it was kind of interesting. I didn't look at my speech until the day of. So anyway, the middle picture is me talking to them. I had a great time. And it really stuck with me, I think, because I wish I had somebody at that age telling me like what to look out for. And I'm grateful that my speech left such an impact on all my classmates and teachers, and that such a difficult and sad, confusing experience for me turned out to have a really positive effect on others. And that's the video of my controversial speech on the very right. Yeah, so instead of a number now, like on Instagram, I'm obsessed with making memories with my friends and more meaningful things that I can put my energy into. Pathless project. So I have a lot of stuff to show you guys, and I was actually gonna go all out and put on like the whole traditional wear outfit, but I'm not even gonna try because it's so complicated the way that they wrap this, and I just don't even want to butcher it. But anyway, I bought all of this from local weavers there. Oh yeah, because basically I went to Guatemala to learn to weave for my Pathless project. That was what I did. But so this is like a very traditional skirt. It's basically like two backstrap woven pieces of fabric sewn together, and it basically wraps super high up in this crazy way. And then it's topped with this belt. This is also woven on a backstrap loom, and they do it super tight. So that underneath you can like capture this. So my mom bought this. This is called a huipil. It's Guipil. And this is like the most traditional Guatemalan form of a blouse, and it's open on all the sides, so it basically just goes right over your head, and then you put the skirt around it and then wrap the belt so everything's all tight. But yeah, this was made by my teacher Rosa, who taught me to weave, and this is like a super sacred piece because it has every bird in Guatemala hand embroidered by Rosa. And then yeah, these just the fabric too, I'm sure took forever. I can't even imagine. But yeah, I'll show you more about what I made. But here's just a couple pictures. I just have always been drawn to traveling and excited by new experiences, so I wanted to combine this interest in culture and textile arts to learn how to weave in Guatemala. So my plan for the project was to learn both the art and history of Mayan weaving. So yeah, with my journal and my camera, I documented my adventures there in and outside of weaving. And my teacher was a talented woman named Rosa. She taught me everything there was to know about weaving. And she makes some amazing things, and I was just really inspired by her dedication to the preservation of the craft. And yeah, from a scarf I was able to make there, I was able to make a bag, and it's actually kind of breaking a little, because this is like what I've learned about weaving is like not the same as just like a standard piece of fabric. You can't really cut it in the same way because it'll just start undoing. But yeah, so I made a big long scarf when I was there, and it's this red and white striped fabric. So I made a bag out of it, and the strap is actually from a dyeing class I took there about like natural dyeing. This is dyed with Palo de la Vida wood. But yeah, anyway, it's like a reversible thing. This is made with napkins I bought there, but anywho. And I'm in the process of making another scarf. So while I was there, my teacher, I asked her if there was a place where I could buy a backstrap loom for myself, and she was like, goes back and like hands it to me for $10. So I have all of the things that I need, and I've just been kind of, can't really see, but I've just been working on this one, and yeah, it starts off with just a bunch of strings, and I'm learning to kind of put some embroidery into it. But so this, I'll try to probably finish, and then I'll sew it quickly into like a blouse. This is like what a really impressive one looks like. I did not make this. Really cool. And so after coming home and like refining everything, I got to work on my magazine. It took me most of the 10-day project period for sure to complete it, and I had to print it a couple times to capture the vision I had. But when I was leaving San Juan, the town where I learned to weave, Rosa sent me with all the sticks and stuff I needed to have my own loom. So now at my mom's house, in between my closet cabinets, I just sit and weave. And I keep in touch with Rosa and send her pictures of all the things I'm making. And she loves to see it. But yeah, this is the one Nate printed for me. I started off by doing FedEx, but it was just like $35 per print, and I kept making too many mistakes, so I couldn't afford it, to be honest. So this is the one that Nate was able to print for me, and I think it turned out really well. I'll pass it around so you guys can take a look. But it's just some history. So like, I had so much respect for the weavers that taught me, and they let me know that my interest in their lives and culture meant a lot to them, which meant a lot to me. And they took me in excitedly and showed me how to do everything. And they explained to me how young women there usually start weaving around the age of 7, but due to the increase in access to education, fewer of them now are learning to weave. So it was really cool for them to see like this little American girl coming in and trying to like learn all their ancient stuff. They liked it a lot. So while I was there, I got to witness the desperation and hardships that the women in the textile weaving industry face every day. And I would just cringe at like the heartbreakingly low prices that they would give for like a month's work, so less than $1 a day for their work. And yeah, but to them, they're just happy to get what they can. Yeah, so getting to experience this poverty gave me a lot to think about, and it inspired me to learn more about the economic aspect of weaving and to further support local shops and textile makers by purchasing their designs and appreciating their intricate creations. Yeah, and I just feel really grateful that I got to learn such a sacred art from the women who keep it alive, and I feel happy looking at my magazine and being able to share my adventure with people, because it reminds me of the adventures I have there. Yeah, and I appreciate traveling. It's had a huge part of my life. It keeps me humble and shows me all the things I have to be grateful for. And Guatemala in particular, their attempt to take advantage of what they have and using everything as a resource has made me more conscious of the things that I could reuse, so I think it's definitely made my life more meaningful in that way. And yeah, yep. Krishnamurti would like me to say that, yeah, truth is a pathless land and one that cannot be approached by any path whatsoever, by any religion, by any sect. And I just think traveling offers us many opportunities to face these spiritual challenges, and remaining curious and learning to accept what is are 2 mindsets that are essential for traveling. And I'm always open to becoming more tolerant, so traveling never fails to push that boundary for me. Yeah, and this trip, there's me in my traditional wear. And me learning to weave, and that's the same process from what I was able to get this bag from. But anyway, when I first introduced this project to Will and the whole panel, everybody was like, okay, so like what's your plan B? Because it was just a little ambitious, but it didn't feel that ambitious to me just because I've grown up going to traveling to Central America with my mom, and like to me the most stressful part was how I was gonna turn this into something that had some sort of grade, like some kind of presentation like this or a magazine. That was the part I was stressed about. The travel, no biggie. But yeah, so I just knew I could do it. I didn't come up with a plan B. But yeah, I knew none of this would have been tangible without my mom, and I'm really grateful I was raised by someone who prioritizes travel as much as she does, because I definitely owe my flexibility, curiosity, and wanderlust to her. So yeah, and the trip was a huge success, and it's only made me more excited to keep learning and exploring. Okay. That was the one that was supposed to be on while I said that, so. Okay. Looking back. Okay, yeah. I look back at my time at Oak Grove, and I think about how much I've grown since I came here. My main concern when I first came was whether or not I'd be accepted, and I dealt with lots of unstable friendships in the years leading up to my transfer, and I wasn't expecting the warm embrace I've felt since the day I came here. Once I was able to relax my social anxiety, I was able to get back in touch with my artistic and academic strengths. I took advantage of nearly every creative opportunity here at Oak Grove, and have harnessed a new love for poetry, guitar, piano, singing, dancing, painting, and even playing soccer and volleyball. I've come to love calculus, physics, reading books outside of English and history class, and taking my Duolingo French classes online. I can feel a difference in my relationship with myself, and feel so lucky to have had the opportunities that have helped me grow and live a more meaningful life. I'm going into this next chapter with a different perspective than I once had, and that is to continue appreciating the relationships I've built with my friends and family, to continue appreciating and connecting with nature, and to remain curious and open-minded about my future. If I could go back to freshman year, I think I would be proud of myself for how far I've come, and I really have Oak Grove and all of you guys to thank. So looking forward, I'm really also this picture was not recreated, just really happens to be almost an identical picture. So anyway, that's us like 15 years later. So yeah, I'm really excited to get out of Ventura County and into the exciting atmosphere of San Francisco. And mostly I'm excited to meet new people because, yeah, when I transferred to Oak Grove, I didn't foresee becoming so close with the people I have in my class, and I'm confident that the connections I've made here will stick with me for the rest of my life and inspire me to make new close friendships. So while I'm sad to finally say goodbye to you all, seeing you all every day reminds me of the lifetime worth of new friendships that are yet to come. So yeah, the bond we've made and all the memories that we have made remind me of the goodness in life and motivate me to live as passionately. I can't wait to take what I've learned with you all into this new chapter of adulthood in the unknown. And as for me, I'll be moving up to San Francisco in August, and I couldn't be more excited. Last year, my older brother Riley made the first jump from the nest. When he left to Santa Cruz, I didn't know what to expect for the next year. I pretty much just predicted sadness and loneliness because I've never been an only child, and the thought that all of my siblings were now out enjoying their own freedoms and I was just back doing the same thing I have been doing really bothered me. And but now I'm here. A year has gone by, and I'm a year older, smarter and happier, more grateful. And it turns out distance really does make the heart grow fonder because the bond I have with my brother Riley never broke when he moved away. In fact, we're actually closer now. So yeah, I can't wait to take on this new chapter of freedom alongside him, the same us, only 17 years older. Yeah, there are so many incredible things I have to look forward to leaving Oak Grove, and I'm so proud to have something as incredible to look back on as my time here. So yeah, thank you all. Oh, questions? You guys have any? Zephyr.
How did you find Rosa?
So I had some pretty bad planning on my part. I just did not look into it at all until I was in Guatemala. So I wake up in the morning and I just don't really know who's going to teach me to weave still. So, but then Colleen actually had some random contact of Lemma and this weaving organization, and we ended up being in the town where that was. I WhatsApped the woman, and it ended up being Rosa, and I asked the woman who was walking us to our Airbnb, like, is there any weaving here? And she was like, yeah, there's a co-op up there. I was like, okay. So I walked up there, and it ended up being the woman I texted. So everything was just super serendipitous, and everything was aligning. So yeah, that's how I found her, I guess. I didn't really do much work. It just kind of fell into place. But yeah. Ula?
Who went with you? Who did you
It was my mom and Colleen and I. Yeah. Yeah. That was it. Ali?
After seeing a little bit more about how you've learned to move and the fashion of Guatemala, your thoughts on how you it all,
Mm-hmm.
or how you want to wear it?
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, when I first got that outfit, I don't think I took it off for the 2 days after I bought it, just because I felt so, as soon as I got there, I felt like I was way too obvious, and I stood out so much that I needed to get onto the level with the people a little bit more. And so once I finally got that outfit, I was just in it for days because I was feeling so good. And the way that the women there embraced their the more kind of traditional feminine outfits was just really cool to me, because all the women kind of looked the same in a cool way, and but if you get close up, you can see that their skirts are all hand woven with things that are cool to them, or the symbols in Guatemala and the embroidering all have meaning and stuff like that. So I guess it just inspired me to wear things that are more meaningful to me and to not waste as much stuff. Also, just in a sewing aspect, I had no idea about the fabric that I was using. That's all made by machines, and so I don't feel as bad cutting that stuff up. But the idea of taking something that I've spent a month weaving and cutting it, it hurts my brain to think about that. And it's actually considered extreme cultural appropriation to cut already sewn or already woven fabrics in Guatemala. But yeah, I don't know. I just have a greater respect for like the way clothes are made, and especially traveling to Guatemala and like knowing how to weave now, like looking at stuff like that to me is just like I've got a long way to go. So it's exciting. Anybody else? Walk. Well, my brother Mickey goes there, so I'm really excited to join him. One of my friends, Hannah, goes there. And San Francisco, I basically never thought I would be in California until like a couple months ago. I just thought I would immediately go back to the East Coast because that's where my family is. That's like people I like are there. So I decided to stay here, I think because I was getting a little bit nervous as it was coming up about leaving my family and stuff, and the idea of being in a 6-hour plane ride versus a 6-hour car drive just feels a lot worse. I don't know which one I started with. It feels a lot better to be a 6-hour drive away, let's just say that. Also, San Francisco's just popping, and I feel like it's the coolest, like second coolest place I could be other than New York, and I'll end up in New York anyway, so. San Francisco's cool for now, really cool. Yeah. Anything else? Oh, Will.
I know you've like expressed interest in performing again in the future, like acting or other options, and I'm just curious, like you spoke really eloquently about like that like feeling of being on the stage and what it does to you, and like how are you gonna approach it differently if you re-enter that world again?
Yeah. Well, I don't know really like what I want to go into. I used to like really just probably when I was still in that mindset of performance and like the audience, I really wanted to be an actor, in front of the camera. But like I'm kind of starting to question that, and Showcase was so fun, but like that was the first performance I've really done in a while, and like I don't know, just at family gatherings and stuff, like I would always be the one to like get up and start singing, and that's just kind of funny to me because I'm just not that kind of person anymore. So I don't really have the same urge to like jump right to the center of attention. So I'm thinking maybe for film I'll work on like set design or production design, costume design kind of thing, because I think it's cooler to like look, like I feel more proud of being part of the process of a film, or like playing guitar in a band versus like singing. Like I don't know, something about like being in the process to me is like more meaningful now. So I don't know, maybe I will still end up acting, but I think because I've had this break in my life where I kind of got to shift my mindset a little, I don't think it'll ever really be the same. Like my validation no longer comes just from the audience. So maybe I'll find like a new place for it in my life, but yeah. Anybody else? Okay.